You're basic mountain. How else am I supposed to answer that question?
But I got 4 options to choose from here. We kind of got like the desert one. We have the sort of weird like forest one where the perspective's a little bit off. We have the crag sort of overhead shot. And then the sunset mountain from Mirage, which is my land of choice on Magic Online.
Ah, I see. I cannot tell you how much I'm truly enjoying this segment as we are here.
Yeah, you had no idea.
I did not know. So it's nice because people are like, "Oh, do you guys had planned things?" And it's like, no. Nope. He just does things sometimes, and it works itself out, and that's good enough for me. So no, I had no idea. I still have no idea. Growth Spiral in response to the Mayhem Devil. That is a Triome. There it is. With the Mayhem Devil. Pass the turn back. Gonna leave Priest of Forgotten Gods up at the ready here, it looks like. So now here is a Blast Zone. There's Wilderness Reclamation. That's a powerful one there from Yuki, Itchikawa.
Starting off with a really good 1-2-3 start here.
And beatdowns. Priest never coming into the red zone. Notable.
Yeah, especially game 1, that card is pretty problematic for Reclamation to work around if they have to play to the battlefield at all. Sometimes you just go way over the top and you combo out, and it's not anything, but often it's prohibitive if you can keep that card in play.
It's an interesting spot here. You can see Michael would like to resolve Ghost Rider, but I'm sure he's a little bit afraid of a card like Mystical Dispute because there's 3 mana available. So he's kind of hovering back and forth about casting, and he will go with the Ghost Rider. We can see that it's going to resolve. Ishikawa's hand is, I don't want to call it weak, but it's definitely weak to Ghost Rider being cast and therefore resolving. So Ghost Rider is in there. Will Priest sacrifice something? It will. So it appears as though it will sacrifice that token and perhaps Dem Bones. Yes. Okay.
Free to get the Gutter Bones back. You get a card for your trouble. Some more damage.
Yeah,
you don't have to just sit on the Priest.
Yep.
I think this is an overlooked line. I think people just sit a lot with Priest. There's spots where you can be a bit more proactive with it. They don't necessarily have to have a creature.
Well, I'm going to cycle a Triome, will Yuki. Picked up a Fabled Passage, not with a Doctor ordered, so we're heading back over to Ishikawa, who's drawn another land and just a mountain. You can see the other copy of Wilderness Reclamation, Blast Zone, a couple of lands, and a Shark Typhoon. I mean, that Shark Typhoon's got to work overtime to do anything relevant this game, and that just seems pretty unlikely. I mean, Michael might be running away with this one. Like, this game just might be over right here.
Yeah, Itchikawa might actually need to maybe do something main phase, cycling that Shark Typhoon, looking for help.
Yeah, so try to find something a little better.
I think doing something like Reclamation and try to use a Blast Zone and try to cycle and jump block. I don't know if that's going to be good enough here.
Well, there's Wilderness Reclamation. Time to float. Remember 2 triggers. Here's the first one. See what Ishikawa wants to do. Number 8 seed. We've seen him play in so many of our tournaments. This is one of the best things about kind of this initiative with online play, is we get access to covering people that we normally would not have the opportunity to cover. So it's been really cool watching Yuki Ishikawa actually play some Magic, because unlikely that we'd see him in something like SCG Indianapolis as an example.
No, the sort of regional diversification of our player pool has been a really cool consequence of all of this.
Yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. All right, Mayhem Devil.
Oh, you get a point off their Blast Zone. I forgot that thing's.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's dude, when your opponent like sacrifices a Fabled Passage and you're like, right, a little freebie on the house, huh?
Oh, I got gotten with Chandra 3.
Okay.
Make 2 tokens, sacrifice them in a turn.
Oh,
not good. Not good. Gotta see that one. Gotta see that one for yourself once.
Maybe you won't be activating Chandra after that, perhaps. Yeah, not good at all. That's correct. Mayhem Devil, Ghost Rider. Decisions would call the Death Dweller. Looks like it's going to resolve here. Again, Itchikawa's hand very weak at the moment. We do know that.
But working with all the mana in the world, get to next turn, and at least 2 draw steps between the Shark Typhoon he can cycle and the natural draw step.
Yep. So 3/3 Shark. Well, I don't think that's going to do it.
3/3 is big enough to certainly induce the Priest before blocks.
Yep.
Because Gutterbones is no longer trading.
There's a mountain.
This needs to be a Euro into some stuff, I think. It's falling to 1 here.
Yeah.
You know, it cuts off a lot of the other theoretical ways to navigate.
And this game right now is so much about how can he come back in a spot like this, which is just it's hard to see.
Well, you just gotta. It involves going up to 4 and then chaining together another card that matters. It still may not be possible, but you know, you've got a Blast Zone, you've got 2 Wilderness Reclamations, right? There could be a path here, but it is asking a lot for sure.
It is. Okay.
Because if you let Bonde untap with his battlefield, he just gets to go activate Priest and it's over.
Oh yeah, you can't let it happen.
So you've got to do something like now. The Blast Zone gives you, definitely something to play with here. And then if you have a Shark Typhoon, then you're cycling and blocking the other one, and maybe you're okay at 1. It's tenuous, but it's the way out.
Yeah, tenuous is a good way to put it. I would agree with that. Well, let's see if we can get a little lucky. Look, a player, we're going to see, okay, so this is for 2 in combination with Wilderness Reclamation. And I guess, okay, so there's a blocker here. Okay, so we play on. That's the power of Blast Zone right there. So now here comes this bozo. It's going to get sniped by a shark. And so, oh boy, is he going to come all the way back? There's an opt. I mean, that gives you a lot of looks at it. You're going to lose the Gutter Bones. You're going to rebuy the Woe Strider. Oh my goodness, Yuki. Well, Yuki at 1.
Now claim the Firstborn, also part of the equation. Not this turn, but next.
Yep. Temple, trigger. Oof. I think you got to keep that, right? It's just more looks. You don't think so?
Yeah, it just depends on what else you got going on right now. I think that's good enough to keep because the goat's not really up to anything.
Sure. It's close.
It's just there's a chance you just don't get to the next turn with either of your creatures, and then it's a really bad draw.
Yeah.
If you assume, or if you have to assume that you're getting to next turn with at least one thing and hopefully both, then yeah, Village Rites is, I think, a much better draw than your average draw.
All right, there's an island.
I really like the operations here. You know, you're only going to get to do one thing regardless. So
Yep.
castle first, and keep that opt as the last order of business.
Yep, I like that too. Get as
Really?
many looks as get as many looks as you can, because you have the ability to draw a card right away. No, I think that's really, really smart. I mean, I'd expect nothing less, but I think it's really smart.
Yeah, I think a lot of players would have had the intuition there to just opt on their main phase looking for something they can play right there. But I think you are drawing, so many of your best draws from the spot are instants or can cycle or whatever, that you're better off just floating it all into your end step and using Castle Vantress to optimize your chance of finding something very good that you can play right away.
I think I'm with you on that one there, boss man. All right. Well, there's the village rights. So, thinking about leading out with a castle, or excuse me, with a witch's oven. All right. Now is the do we opt? We do. Top shelf.
Yeah, there's a chance here that the oven induces a bounce spell or a removal spell that you can then village rights in response to.
Okay.
So you might as well test the waters this way, I think is the thing.
Yeah. All right, so here's the response. Petty Theft is the card that was left on top. And it looks like Expansion Explosion is actually the next card. So if we can get to the next turn, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7, 28. Yeah, so Explosion should just be game over. Yeah, next turn if we get to next turn with 3 triggers, because that's 7 times 4 is 28. Hey!
Yep.
Hey! We found it! Took a hot minute, but we found ourselves a little kitty cat.
And that's that last point.
That is that last point. All right, Michael Bonde, he's going to win that, and he was going to die next turn. Very impressive stuff for him. Michael, number 1 overall seed. Hey, he loves himself a Rakdos Sacrifice deck, and you saw it in action right there. Does win game number 1 here over multiple-time Grand Prix champion Yuki Ishikawa. These 2 players, 2 of Magic's very best, but Star City Games Premium has some of them as well. Paulo Vitor, Dama DeRosa, Jerry Thompson, Patrick Chapin, Todd Anderson. The list goes on and on and on. You can become a Star City Games Premium member for just $7.99 per month and receive instant access to that exclusive content, as well as some exclusive premium benefits for those of you looking to purchase Magic the Gathering products. And of course you are. That's why you're here. Again, Star City Games Premium. Become a member today, as both of these players do. Cyborg, Patrick.
I'm
hell
on
of
that
the first
list
game,
too.
eh?
I'm on that list.
Yeah,
that list of premium writers.
It's not
I'm
all
on
about
there.
you. My goodness.
I'm on there too. Yeah.
I purposely not mention you, and this is what happens. You just couldn't handle it.
All right, signing in some big creatures because the removal is, damage based. So Rotting Regisaur might be good. On the other side, some removal spells to answer some cheap creatures. Back to me. I'm on there. You want to read my content? It gets posted every Wednesday, I believe. And then there's some one-offs that go up there as well. StarCityGamesPremium.com.
.com. That's nice. That's not a web address, but that's okay.
You figure it out. Search Google.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, Bing.
Now, I will also say, just to point this out to you, that the web address for Star City Games Premium is actually just on the graphic. StarCityGames.com/join-premium. So it's just there, along with the benefit.
Even better.
Game number 2 about to be underway here between Michael Bonde and Yuki Ishikawa, as these 2 players are going back and forth. 2 of our most well-accomplished Magic players here in the top 8, in Ishikawa and Michael Bonde. Michael with a very well-played first game there, but obviously he likes these sacrifice strategies. But Ishikawa did at 1.2, went to the dark side with Team of Reclamation, but certainly paid off for this tournament.
If memory serves, Ishikawa was on a much bigger Jund build, right? He was not playing the Bonde low to the ground Rakdos build.
That is correct. Was playing a lot of copies of Bolas' Citadel to win the game. Had cards like Llanowar Visionary and Solemn Simulacrum in his deck, and the goal of that strategy was much more centered around Bolas' Citadel than anything. Well, we'll find a Trono. Well, that'll give you the green source of mana that was missing. This is a Castle Vantris. Pass a turn back, so it wants to have Mystical Dispute at the ready. Here comes Woe Strider. And I think if you played that castle instead of that Triumph, we're not going to see Mystical Dispute. Okay, we'll just see Bone Crusher Giant instead, though we're going to see, I presume, that be sacrificed. So Bone Crusher Giant is not going to get to go on an adventure. It'll head directly to the graveyard. But that's okay. Itchikawa still does have Mystical Dispute at the ready right now.
When you're playing against a deck that, when Bonde already has the oven out, there's a pretty low premium on trying to get Bone Crusher Giant onto the battlefield because Claim the Firstborn just eats it and kills it. Mm-hmm. So at that point, once you're at the point where it's like kind of a coin flip, if you'd even want it in the first place, I think you're better served holding up the more flexible Mystical Dispute for a spell, as we see here.
There's Mystical Dispute. Going to take care of Paul the Death Dweller. Looks like we may have a Village Rites in response. Sacrifice that token, get a little bit deeper into the deck, because the hand right now for Michael is not particularly good. Claim the Firstborn and Cauldron Familiar doesn't make it appreciably better, and we can see right now with Itchikawa, he's going to play a Fabled Passage. Might be time for Wilderness Reclamation. Looks like going to crack that passage first. Perhaps a Basic Forest? Yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead and get that out there. What's the big follow going to be? It's going to be Reclamation tapped a specific way. I'll leave the Triumph available. Gonna float a little bit. This might be just a freebie Growth Spiral while having Nightpack Ambusher available. That's true. Picked up a copy of Expansion Explosion. Now this one looks more like it for our Team of Reclamation player.
Well, you can see the difference between Bonde going 1, 2, 3 on the play versus nothing, nothing, nothing on the draw. Getting a clean window here to get your enchantment set up. Now that's not going anywhere, and all your spells are going to be considerably more powerful from this point going forward than Bonde's.
Yeah. There is the 0-1 GOAT from the Woe Strider, but here comes Nightpack Ambusher, and Itchikawa is going to start taking over this game. Picked up an island. Lands aren't so bad right now in combination with that Wilderness Reclamation and that copy of Expansion. Remember that Woe Strider was escaped, so it's a 5-4, not a 3-2. Ambusher's trigger is going to resolve. There's your 2/2 Wolf that gets a little pump from the Ambusher that's on the battlefield. And now the question, of course, is how much are we going to do this expansion for? Because, it's happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to leave up Gust or not, I guess is the whole thing.
Well, it looks like the answer to that question is yes. Witch's Oven is going to sacrifice that Woe Strider, but Explosion will still resolve. It does have 2 targets, one for the damage, one for the target player who's going to draw all those cards, which the target here, unsurprisingly, is Yuki Itchikawa. So he'll be drawing 6 cards here in just a moment, as Witch's Oven and Woe Strider are doing some sacrificing here. A couple of food made. More importantly, 6 cards drawn. Priest of Forgot got the draw.
I think there should be a rule that if you get a wolf off of your ambusher and then cast a spell on your unstep, the wolf gets taken away. That's just like not the spirit of it, you know what I mean?
Well,
my opinion.
Depends on who you ask. We got some work to do here. Cauldron Familiar, huh? Well, looks like we're going to stomp that. Yeah, Michael said no more. No more, thank you. Not looking to change the audio on Magic Arena. I can promise you that much. He will concede this game. We're going to get ready for a third and final one as these players go to the sideboarding. Remember, you can order Core Set 2021. Popular cards include Discontinuity, Elder Gargaroth, who I made a mistake of tweeting about yesterday, and Snoopy Gob. Conspicuous Snoop, among the many awesome cards in Core Set 2021. Order now at StarCityGames.com/M21. It's a good limited format.
Yeah, I played a fair bit. I actually played a fair bit of 21 and Ikoria after kind of being on a hiatus.
Yeah, I think it's a good limited format. I've been enjoying it. So this is the spot if you're Michael. This is where you want to be, right? We're talking on the play. Game 3. You won game 1 by getting aggressive on your opponent. And so now this is the hope. You're able to just do it again. And if you can do that, life is pretty good.
It's the reason to pursue the number 1 seed. I think a lot of these matchups, they're played in the margins. Being on the play is a huge deal. And, I think that if you had to choose a person to win this game in the dark, you'd rather be on Bonde's side than Itchikawa's. A lot can happen, but, getting that first overall seed is huge.
Quick update in our 4 versus 5 matchup. Nam Dang playing 4-color Reclamation. Takara Ryusuke. Nishiura playing, unsurprisingly, Teamer Reclamation. So our 4 seed is through. Congratulations to Nam. And a great tournament there for Ryusuke. As we now prepare here for game number 3. Mountain and a Swamp and a Dread Horde Butcher. Hey, beatdowns, let's do it to it. Butcher's going to grow a little bit. Bone Crusher Giant is a timely draw. Aether Gust would have delayed the Butcher. And that is still an option, of course, so we'll see exactly which one Itchikawa wants to go to. Notable there that... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's just interesting that, the Bone Crusher Giant's kind of it's the more narrow answer in some respects, so it's nice to line up against the 2/2, but also it's not like Aether Gust works against everything, like if Priest is the follow-up play, now you have a Gust against nothing. So interesting call.
There is the Priest. Rotting Rootosaur on top of the deck. Okay, so you just drew one. And now, do you want to draw another one? The answer is clearly yes. So here is Uro.
Well, the second one...
That'll resolve. Go ahead, partner.
The second one often improves the first one because the drawback's on the same axis. You get run out. And so, if you're interested in the first one or you're already committed because it's already in your hand, often the second one's very appealing.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this is your plan, you're going to go down this road. And it looks like this is the road we're going to try to go down right now if we are Michael Bonde. An expansion/explosion has just been drawn here for Yuki Ishikawa. You see his hand. Bone Crusher Giant is on an adventure. Uro is in the graveyard. Wilderness Reclamation. Expansion Explosion. Aether Gust. And lands is the grip. And now it's time to figure out, all right, how do I sequence it all?
And this is why it's so hard to play these kind of matchups, even if a lot of the interactions seem simple. You have the choice between Bone Crusher Giant and Aether Gust. You win with Bone Crusher Giant. And now you have Aether Gust in hand against 2 toughness black creature. So these decisions on the margins, they do matter quite a bit. And not to say that's necessarily a mistake, right? It's just like you have to actually weigh these calls in real time. They're not easy.
Well, there's Wilderness Reclamation. No surprise there, folks. That's going to come in. It's going to trigger. You're going to float a little bit of mana. Explosion's going to take care of Priest. A couple of cards there in Bone Crusher Giant and Breeding Pool. Rotting Regisaur is going to discard. Looks like Woe Strider. Call of the Death Dweller is a pretty nice draw, I think. Now this is the easy part. Let's get the 7 in. Let's figure the rest out in just a moment. Looks like it's just going to be another big dinosaur. So if 1's good, presumably 2 is better. And as you know, they're not red or green. So can't knock those out with Aether Gust.
Bone Crusher Giant also not up to the task.
No, putting it mildly, I see. Here is Uro.
This is important to start with because it moves Itchikawa up to 15, and that's a magic number for not having the 2 Regisaurs be lethal.
There's Bone Crusher on the hard cast. Now remember, Michael's going to have to discard 2 of these cards in his hand. And which 2 you discard is probably Cauldron Familiar and Priest, leaving Call in your hand since you can get back 2 things, but obviously I lean towards Michael's expertise here. But that's what he's going to do. Dread Horde Butcher, does that change the math at all? It looks like we're thinking about Call. How about beatdowns? Bone Crusher Giant's obviously going to step in front of one of these things. So, there's that. Here's Call. Thinking Priest. And I think we might be thinking Kitty Cat, too.
Really nice here of Bonde not getting tempted by the red creature in the graveyard. Gotta have Aether Gust on the radar here.
Mm-hmm. Cat's going to come in. There will be a trigger. Priest is back on the battlefield now as well. Stomp will take care of that Rotting Regisaur. That has 4 damage on it. 4 plus 2 is 6 all day. So we'll see a dinosaur go away here in just a moment. So, how many cards in the graveyard? Not entirely sure just yet, but there is the opportunity to scry with Castle Vantress here for Itchikawa. Quite the sweat here. Getting a good view of Bonde's perspective, which I like. I want to feel what Arena tells me. 1 top, 1 bottom. Hate that sound. All right, let's the draw. Why do I think it's a split card? Because it is a split card. Expansion Explosion is the draw. Oh boy.
And I think that there are not enough cards in the graveyard right now to escape an Uro, but what you can do is just float a ton of mana here, get rid of the Regisaur, and now you have a 4-3 lined up the right way. What you do want to be mindful of is not getting KO'd by Acclaim the Firstborn.
Yep.
So you don't want to tap. You do not want to tap all the way out if you can avoid it.
And I think the thing that Itchikawa was thinking right now is 1 Reclamation trigger is going to resolve, and then the second is currently on the stack is exactly how much do I want to fire this explosion off for? That's the $1 million question, because as you mentioned, you do want to leave mana up. You don't want to lose to Claim the Firstborn or some other red card, especially when you have an Aether Gust in your hand. So he's going to tap it himself. And now here is an explosion. And that'll take care of the Rotting Regisaur. Whole lot of cards. Gross Spirals, Plural, Scorching Dragonfire, 2 copies of Aether Gust. Seems like it's okay to me. You might want to fire off the Scorching Dragonfire right now, still while you have priority. It looks like Itchikawa's going to do that. Say, Priest, you get out of here too. And it just got real hard for Michael, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, the leftovers here are just all cantrips and Aether Gust. So it's not like Doom is rolled up in the hand, but, you know, it's a lot of defense and a lot of redraws.
Here is a copy of Aether Gust, presumably. Now, you don't. Yeah, you wait on that, because if you gust that and then get claimed, boy, you're going to be upset. So
yeah.
Itchikawa took a moment there and thought that through. Now you'll get the Aether Gust once that creature's actually on the battlefield. Bonde has to almost certainly put this on the bottom. That card's no good later. A little surprised at the no block potentially there, but other than that,
yeah, I mean that no block is surprising, and 5-4 is a meaningful point if Claim the Firstborn is part of the calculus here, or potentially Witch's Oven alongside Cauldron Familiar.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be enough cards in the graveyard to get back this big fella, so Uro is going to escape. Trigger from 4 to 7. Draw. Land is Fabled Passage. Sack that passage. Get that forest. Play that Growth Spiral. Well, ring-a-ding-ding, everybody. Expansion Explosion number 3 has been found. Not the first time, certainly won't be the last. That's for darn sure. Well-played game here by Itchikawa, I must say. As I do want to let everybody know here very quickly that Corey Baumeister was defeated by, I believe, Robert McKee. Do I have that? No, I don't have that correct. Yes, I do have that correct. Pardon me. Baumeister, another great run, another top 8 for him, but will not be moving on to the quarterfinals, or excuse me, to the semifinals.